Quick ask. Subscribe now, then let's jump in with the numbers. You don't need a headline to tell you when a market is shifting. You feel it in the way Texas streets sound different on a Saturday. The trucks are still in the driveways. The master plan communities are still there. The billboards still promise from the low 400s. But the buzz around them? That's changed. Open houses that used to feel like airports now feel like waiting rooms. For sale signs hang just a bit longer. That one new build cul-de-sac at the edge of town? It suddenly has more balloons than buyers. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. In some of these boom corridors, it doesn't feel like Texas can't lose anymore. It feels like nobody's in a hurry to buy. Tonight, we're talking about the Texas housing crash as it's actually unfolding. Not in headlines, but in contracts, price cuts, and the simple reality that the math doesn't work in some overbuilt cities anymore. We're going to walk through 7 Texas markets where builders pushed hard, buyers stretched even harder, and now the air is coming out. These are the places where you see rows of new roofs, flags at the entrance, and a lot of listings sitting. By the end of this video, you'll know which overbuilt cities are cracking first, what that actually means for prices and timing, and how a calm operator should buy, sell, or sit tight while everyone else argues in the comments. If you're tired of hype and just want a clear playbook, stay with me. Let's start with how we even got here. How Texas went from can't miss to you'd better do the math. For almost a decade, Texas sold a simple story. Jobs, land, low taxes, move here and you win. People believed it, for good reasons. Big employers poured into Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. Remote workers decided they could swap cramped coasts for space and sunshine. Builders carved new neighborhoods out of fields, promising affordable luxury in short commutes. Then 2020 to 2022 poured gasoline on that fire. Money was cheap. 3% mortgages made almost any price feel manageable. Bidding wars stopped being a story and became a system. You remember the playbook. 20 offers on one house appraisal gaps. Waived inspections lines of buyers outside new build sales offices. If you had a pulse and a pre-approval, you were in the arena. But markets don't run on stories. They run on monthly payments. And the monthly changed. Mortgage rates jumped. Property taxes chased pandemic-era valuations. Insurance costs crept up. HOA dues rose to cover real maintenance, not brochure photos. Utilities and basic living costs climbed. The exact same Texas house that once felt tight but doable started to feel like a second full-time job. So when people talk about a Texas housing crash, they picture empty streets and foreclosure signs. That's not what this is. What's actually happening is quieter and more dangerous if you're not paying attention. In overbuilt cities, the story outran what real households can afford, and now the math is dragging prices back to earth. Let's talk about how we picked the 7 markets on this list. Then we'll get into the cities themselves. What overbuilt actually means in 2025. When I say overbuilt, I'm not just talking about a lot of houses went up. I'm looking at a simple bundle of signals that you can check in your own zip code, days on market. Are listings sitting longer than a year ago? Inventory. Do active listings keep stacking instead of clearing each month? Price cuts. Are price improvement banners turning into second and third reductions? Pendings and absorption. Are fewer homes going under contract even while new listings arrive? Monthly payment versus local income. Not just the price, but the full stack. Principal plus interest, plus taxes, plus insurance, plus HOA, plus utilities. Where these lines cross, heavy new construction, softening demand, and payments that outgrew paychecks, you don't get a Hollywood crash. You get something more subtle. Quiet open houses, builders throwing incentives at anyone who will listen, and sellers saying, "We'll just rent it if we don't get our number," right before they cut the price. That's the backdrop. Now let's walk the map. Number 7, New Braunfels. The boomtown that got ahead of itself. We start between San Antonio and Austin in New Braunfels. For years, New Braunfels was the success story. River life, historic charm, and a front-row seat to the I-35 growth corridor. Families came for space, investors came for short-term rentals, and the next big thing narrative. Builders heard the message loud and clear. Subdivisions raced up along the highways. New rooftops spread faster than grocery stores and schools. In 2025, the cracks show up in the tape. Brand new homes that would have had waiting lists now sit for weeks. Spec homes roll from coming soon to price to move. Buyers quietly ask, why is this still on the market if everything is so hot? The demand didn't vanish, but at today's payments, a lot of locals are priced out of the very neighborhoods they watch being built. That's the first sign of an overbuilt city. Number 6. Conroe. Lake lifestyle meets payment. Reality number 6 is Conroe, north of Houston. Conroe sold itself on the promise of lake life, plus new build convenience, master planned communities, amenities, easy access to the woodlands and Houston jobs. It ticked all the boxes. Then the monthly changed. Bigger homes mean bigger tax and insurance bills. HOA dues for pools, gated entries, and clubhouses don't go down commutes into Houston. Feel longer when gas isn't cheap. You still see now selling banners. You still see model homes lit up at night, but you also see rows of nearly identical listings in the same price band, sellers offering closing cost help and buy downs right in the description, and buyers realizing that the payment on a deal an hour away doesn't feel like a deal anymore. Conroe isn't dead. It's just discovering the limits of more house for the money in a world where money costs more. Number 5, Forney, starter home country with move-up prices. At number 5, we head east of Dallas to Forney. Forney was supposed to be the starter home escape hatch from Dallas. New schools, fresh roads, brand new homes that felt aspirational without the North Dallas price tag. Developers built to that story. Phases 1, 2, 3, and 4. Streets of similar homes all selling to the same buyer profile. Young families and first-timers stretching to get in. In 2025, you see the hangover. Entire blocks with multiple for sale signs at once, builders quietly offering bigger incentives instead of cutting the base price, resale sellers trying to compete with brand new inventory down the street. When the monthly jumps and options multiply, urgency disappears. The same home that sparked bidding wars in 2021 now sits until someone solves the payment problem. That's what overbuilt feels like on the ground. Number 4. Leander. Tech halo. Real-world budgets. Number 4 takes us to the northwest edge of Austin. Leander. Leander was the poster child for Austin's next big thing. Rail access, new schools. Big master-planned communities and the halo of nearby tech jobs. During the boom, families and investors treated Leander like a sure thing. Pay more now, appreciation will save you later. But appreciation doesn't pay your mortgage. As rates reset and stock option wealth looks less certain, a clear pattern shows up. High HOA, higher taxes, bigger homes equals heavier monthly buyers who work in tech still have limits on what they'll sign up for. The emotional pitch of "get in before it's too late" has turned into "we'll wait and see." Leander hasn't collapsed, but for a lot of would-be buyers, the brand is stronger than their budget and the market is adjusting to that. Number 3, Katy. West Houston's affordability story gets tested. In the number 3 spot, we move to Katy, west of Houston. Katy's pitch has been consistent. Strong schools, big houses, community amenities, and a livable alternative to Houston's core. For years, people happily traded a longer drive for more square footage and better schools. In 2025, though, the trade-off is under review. Commutes are expensive in both time and money. Tax bills and insurance premiums keep pressing higher. Families realize that a beautiful house doesn't feel like a win if the monthly steals all their slack. You see more. Listings sitting just above key price points, sellers throwing out buy downs and credits, and buyers saying, "We love Katy, but not at this number." That's an overbuilt affordability story, where the lifestyle still attracts, but the ledger says, "Not yet." Number 2, San Marcos, the squeezed middle of the I-35 corridor. Number 2 is San Marcos, the middle child between Austin and San Antonio. For a while, San Marcos felt like the perfect compromise. College town energy, river lifestyle. Close enough to both major metros to keep options open. Builders and investors saw the same thing and moved aggressively. New subdivisions, student housing, rental product, all on the assumption that demand would always soak it up. Then the monthly did what it's doing everywhere else. Rates up, taxes up, insurance up. Rents pushing against what local incomes and students can bear. First-time buyers looking at the payment and deciding to wait. San Marcos still feels vibrant on a Saturday night. But scroll the listings and you'll see the other side. More price cuts, more back on market. More homes that only make sense at yesterday's rates. That gap between lifestyle and leisure is exactly what overpriced and overbuilt looks like on a map. Number 1, Austin, when the boomtown runs into a wall. At number 1, we land in Austin itself. For a decade, Austin was the national housing poster child. Tech jobs, music, food, culture. Keep Austin weird, plus make as much money as you can. Everyone had a story, moved from California, doubled their space, got stock options, bought a new build in the suburbs, watched equity explode, then 2025 happened. Remote work isn't infinite. Some hiring has cooled or normalized stock-heavy compensation, doesn't feel as bulletproof. And the cost of borrowing is simply higher. The result? Downtown and near downtown condos that quietly cut prices, suburban tracts where similar floor plans compete for fewer buyers. Investors who bought on appreciation, not cash flow, suddenly unsure whether to sell, rent, or just hang on and hope Austin hasn't turned into a ghost town. Far from it, but in specific corridors, luxury units, investor-heavy buildings, fringe new-build communities. You can feel the air leaking out of the 2021 story. For buyers who underwrite instead of fantasize, this is the most interesting part of the cycle. For anyone still repeating, Austin only goes up, it's the most dangerous. How to operate in overbuilt Texas cities. Buyers. If you're buying into any of these markets, your edge is simple. Time plus structure, speed plus emotion. Here's what that looks like in practice. Build a watch list of homes that have been sitting 21, 30, 45 plus days. Treat list prices as questions, not commands. Keep inspection and financing contingencies. This is not 2021. Ask for permanent rate buy-downs, closing credits, and repair credits as standard. And before you fall for photos, run the real numbers. Property taxes, insurance quotes, HOA dues and any upcoming assessments, utilities and likely repairs, roof, HVAC, windows, exterior and sun and storm zones. Then compare that to what it would cost you to rent a similar place. If ownership only works after heroics, it doesn't work yet. How to operate in overbuilt Texas cities. Sellers and investors. If you're selling in one of these overbuilt corridors, you're not powerless, but you are on defense. Your job is to decide who you are. If you must move, price to today's closed and pending sales, not 2022 headlines. Get a pre-inspection, fix deal killers, and publish receipts. Lead with a clear incentive package. Buy down plus closing costs, instead of death by tiny cuts. What you want to avoid is the slow public slide. Overpricing, sitting cutting a little every few weeks. Teaching buyers that you're more desperate than serious. For investors, this entire cycle is a filter. If your deal only works with aggressive appreciation and constant refinancing, Texas is sending you a message. In an overbuilt city, the only safe asset is one that pays you to hold it, even if prices nap for 5 years. Focus on real rent-to-price ratios, job stability in the local economy, and a conservative view of future taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Hope is not a strategy here. Cash flow and discipline are. Final take. Texas isn't over. The jobs, the culture, the sense of possibility, none of that evaporated in 2025. What did change is that the cost of money finally forced some of the most aggressive boomtowns to admit they were overbuilt and overpriced for the people who actually live and work there. New Braunfels, Conroe, Forney, Leander, Katy, San Marcos, and Austin are just 7 of the clearest examples. If you learn to read what's happening in these markets, not as doom but as data, you'll be ahead of the curve when the same pattern shows up in the next city. Now I want your ground truth. Which Texas city feels most overbuilt where you are? Are you seeing longer days on market, builder incentives, or quiet open houses? Drop your zip, your city, and what you're seeing in the comments. And if you want more grown-up housing breakdowns, no hype, no cheerleading, just risk and opportunity, hit subscribe, tap like, and share this with someone who still thinks Texas real estate only goes up. It doesn't have to crash to change. The real question is whether you change with it.